So, continuing on the patterns theme, this month I wanted to start or wanted to do the last bit, which is baskets, because you do see a lot of baskets around, and they're not making the basket design is not as tough as you think it might be. It looks very complicated, and when you start drawing it without really preparing that space, it can get very confusing as soon as you enter into that texture. But I want to show you a way in which you can not just illustrate the texture, but also make it look more three-dimensional. And then that one technique can be used in various ways to embellish your pictures even further. Like, for example, if you're going to make even a simple card which has a plant, when you put it in something like a basket, it elevates that plant a lot more, pretty much like how we do stuff at home. So I'll share the images and I'll speak about how we'll go about this. Yeah, so this is the basket we're going to start with. It has very few panels and very few overlappings. So this should be slightly easy to accomplish, to understand how the weave of baskets works. Then we have baskets like these, where we have vertical and horizontal lines, but the horizontal lines are along one contour, so that you get that three-dimensional look of the basket. And this can become a little hairy. And then we have a more advanced version where we have also a base and some color. But what I've tried to do is keep the segments large, because if we have very tiny segments, trying to get in too much detail like this one versus this one, or also a weave like this complicates the picture a little bit. So we will go step by step. We'll start off with something as simple as this, which is just two rings on the top and bottom, between which we have some very broad overlapping panels, and we have these hollows in between those panels. This should not be tough. So to start with, let's proportion this as we normally do. We'll make a square around the basket to get a proportion. Now, to keep things simple, because this, or actually, let me just change that. I'm going to use the height of the basket to create the side measurement of the square. So it's this measurement that is important. And then we are going to stick the basket out just a little bit. It's easier that way rather than leaving any empty spaces within the square. Then we will cut it in half horizontally, cut it in half vertically, just for the mechanical observation of where the line occurs. The horizontal line is more important than the vertical line, because this will give us a proportion of the mouth of the basket. So if we cut the basket, the top half, into 3 equal parts, we get an indication of how wide the mouth is going to be. That is the inside part, not the thickness of the that ring around the mouth. Now that ring is a little less than half of that 1/3. So I'm, with every colored line, I'm changing the division. The pink lines are at 1/3, the green lines are at half of the square, and the blue line is at half again between the pink lines. So it becomes a little easier to understand between colors. The bottom really doesn't matter. We will match the height of the ring at the bottom to somewhere near abouts the ring at the top, and that should do it. So this will be our first consideration. Now, beyond this, what we also need to note as far as baskets are concerned is that circular baskets will have lines that run at a slight bit of an angle, curve, sorry, along with the angle. So we will mark the straight line through the center so you know where the placement is. But you will notice that as you come to the side, the angle changes. See? What we would have done is keep making the slant of each of these panels exactly parallel, but that will change the look of your basket completely. Now this radiating series of lines is what will make the basket look like it is circular. Let's try it in the opposite direction. You'll notice the same thing. Although I'm making straight lines, you'll see the second orange line that I've made. I have made it from the right side of that slanted panel. Then it comes towards the left of the panel and then again to the middle. That's because the line of that panel is curving. But using straight lines, I can demonstrate what is happening to that panel, even if it weren't bending. And it will bend according to its curve, which we can guide, use these orange and blue lines as a base along which we can guide our line. I'll make a screenshot of this and then I'll show you. So if I were to draw this, I'll use this guideline and then I'll know where to begin my curve along the line and make it like this. But if I don't have that orange line to start with, this one, I've made the line in black. It's easier to sketch it along a straight line. This, I'm going to show you this, so don't worry about trying to figure this out. Okay. All right. Oh, I have to share the pictures. Okay, let's start. Now we won't make the basket too large. Let's make it small so we can keep everything in control. Let's start off first with making a square. Now in this process we are also going to practice a little bit of drawing. So I want you to follow my instructions about how to even use the pencil. Many times I feel students are drawing like this. They will draw a line like this and then they will draw a line like that. But what I want you to try to do is hold your pencil this far away in the first part of the drawing. To make all horizontal lines, hold your pencil vertical. And to make all vertical lines, hold your pencil horizontal. Draw lines that are extending beyond the dimension that you would desire. Don't make the square from corner to corner. Measure the square on the top because I've drawn two vertical lines. Use your pencil to measure it. And then draw these lines very lightly. Alright, now first thing again is to divide the square in half vertically and horizontally. These are all the green lines done. Then divide the top half into three parts. Now when you are dividing this, just to ensure that you don't make too many lines over here, first just draw a dot to see where that 1/3 is coming. And visually, you might be able to tell whether it looks well divided. And you can then cut it so. Make multiple lines. The pencil is very light, so you should not have a problem. Then we will make a line here to indicate that blue line which cuts the middle 1/3 of the top half. Now there is one part over here where our oval touches, and that is just a little lower than the half mark of the top 1/3, and this gives you where the oval is going to be drawn. On the left hand side, the hollow of the basket is a little inside the square, so you draw that part. And on the right, again, it's a little inside the square. Then you draw a line from here. So draw the oval in parts. This is much easier to then join and make one cohesive oval than to try to make that perfect oval in the first shot. Once you've made this, you can make adjustments to make the oval look more natural. So you might have to change a few curves here or there. That's fine. All right, now we're going to give a thickness to this oval. The thickness is going to be wider along the sides, very narrow on the top. There's hardly anything over here. And again, narrowing in the front. This is again an effect of foreshortening. So you don't see the top thickness of the basket, you don't see it even throughout. You'll see it wider over here and here. Have I drawn this correctly? No, I think I've made a mistake. Oops, the oval doesn't reach here. It's the base of the ring that reaches here. Okay, let's make that change then. Okay, I'm changing my oval to be in the top 1/3. Making that adjustment, and now the ring comes till here. So I wouldn't have even erased this, but I don't want to make you all nervous and confused, so I'm erasing some of the lines that I think might be confusing. This is the top 1/3. My oval was supposed to be inside that. I'll have to make adjustments to the rest of the oval. The thickness of that ring also comes into just around the line that demarcates the 1/3, and just above that blue line is the thickness of the ring. Yeah, I'm going to change this angle as well. Now, when we come down to the bottom, we have, you can draw a vertical line. This part I have not drawn, but you can draw a vertical line to cut the two halves further into half. You know what? I'm just going to do this because otherwise you might be confused and we'll get a wrong proportion. So I am cutting the left and the right side in half because we need to know how far the side of the basket goes, and we also need to know up to what point. Divide this in half again. And now if you want to know where this point is on the sides, I would just go ahead and mark maybe at a half. See, this is half on the sides, and at about 1/4 is where that point would come. And from the bottom, again, half. So I am trying to get us a point over here, this point. So that we can make our the sides of our basket. So how tall is it from the base? It is about halfway up the bottom, 1/4. And how wide do we go? From this line to this line. I'll explain this also. Yeah, so what I've done is drawn vertical lines to cut the bottom half, or actually the entire square into quarters vertically. Then horizontally, the bottom half is cut into half, because we need to know where to draw this line. Visually, if we try to draw it, very often people make a mistake. From the left, you will draw it sideways, from the right, you will draw it straight. All sorts of things can happen. So, in the bottom 1/4 of the square, draw a line only on the side to cut those squares vertically and horizontally into two parts. Now this can be one point, but the basket is not this narrow, because we have to cut this further and just sending the reference image. Yeah, who would have thought it's that high? Huh? It's at exactly this point. I would not have made it this high at all. So when you're making the ring, it has to, at the bottom, it has to be flatter over here and more upright towards the sides. And then we will draw the sides of the basket. So this should give us the proportion of the baskets as it is. But of course, we have drawn everything so, oh, see, I can visually also see this. This is very ad hoc because we are visually measuring now all these things, so you might have to make some adjustments. Please keep making adjustments by looking again and again at the reference image. Now once you have this, you can make the weave of the basket in two different ways. One is you can just mark where the panels are on the base. I have one panel here and here. Next to that, immediately in the next box on this line, I have markings for two panels. Obviously, they're going to be about the same distance, thickness, and so on. And then each of these lines represents a point at the top as well. So if I start from here, if I trace a line that goes up, it goes somewhere over here in the middle of the second square. And I could potentially draw my first panel like this.
Aditi, can you please show the dots which you have made at the bottom? bottom. How do
Yeah,
we do?
see. Yeah, so those dots, just look at the thick panels and you will notice where the panel edge
Okay.
touches the bottom ring. And
Okay.
you will see that in with relationship to the grid line. So
Hmm.
you'll see a green line grid,
Hmm.
and one of these lines comes and touches. It's very close over here. That's where you join. You don't need to know at what height because it is on the ring. Once you've made this bottom ring, you just have to make the mark near the green line here. That's it. So it can't be on the left of the green line, it can't be too much to the right of the green line. More or less over here, that's where you make it.
Okay.
Okay, cool. So now we've got this panel going from the side to the middle. The next one goes from here and it's a little apart. It's not exactly touching, right? So how far does it go? Somewhere to the left of center there. But on the bottom, it is touching naturally because all the panels are coming close together and making a very narrow bottom. Otherwise, this would have been a cylinder. And the top goes somewhere here. All of this happens on the within this block. Then from this edge you have the next one. So each of these panels either starts straight and then curves, or start curves and then go straight. They don't necessarily go in this manner. They're not really making a compound curve. So as I see it on the top, it's straight here and curves just a little bit. Now this part you should try to observe, and it's not really easy to see that. And when you start coming towards the side, the thickness of the panels will start reducing. So on this side, you'll see only a very thin sliver of our panel because it is turning on its side. And now from the left, it's curving to the bottom. It's gonna become really fat here. And I don't see the end of this panel, so I'm just leaving it with a single line. Remember, this is a handmade basket, so it is going to have a few discrepancies. It's not going to have absolutely similar measurements everywhere, which is great for us. Now we start weaving. So you can do the same thing. The origin of the points would probably be in the same spot, but we can't see them because they are behind the current panels. So you can look at where the panel emerges. We have one center panel which has a J on it emerge from somewhere here, which is the intersection of the green and the bottom pink line. And all you need to do is identify and locate one line, just one line. That's this line. And just draw a continuation. And before you go further, just so that you don't get confused, you can erase that section of the panel it is overlapping as you go. So if you find yourself getting very confused, this erasing will help you. Now on once we weave from the top over here, the next panel will be from the opposite side. Having said that, I've done the exact opposite. and then it goes behind. See, are you getting it? Please note that on the bottom there are no overlaps. The overlapping begins only from this section, from the first part. From this part.
Really.
Okay, how is it going? Elaine, are you getting it?
The holes are confusing me. The in and out. I have to keep the holes now. That is confusing me. Just hang on.
So don't
Um,
or ignore the holes for the moment. Just draw the overlap in the panels. And if you want to, you can, after your hole is created, just shade it a little bit. So you know where you have a hollow.
um,
I'm waiting for everyone to finish the front and then we'll address the inside. I'll be right back. How are we doing?
Struggling one sec. Just copying your thing, but I've lost track of where I'm supposed to go. So I'm just
Okay,
copying your.
not a problem. I'll just shade these so you can tell which
Yeah.
one is which.
Literally got confused.
Yeah, I really got confused with this one.
So
One
use
sec.
use your erasers in this one. As much as I say don't. Because and shade the sections which are dark. Wherever there is an overlap, the underlapped line can be erased off. You'll then start seeing.
That is what it is, just, it's
Yeah,
going
just
Yeah,
let
it's
it.
just interlacing.
interlacing, yeah.
Uh,
I'm doing art after a really long time, so it's fine.
Yeah, I know.
So I need something to get back to this.
Oh, I'm sorry to have started you off on something like this. My mistake.
So that's why I said, chalo, let's take up the challenge.
Yeah, good, good. Because, I mean, short of drawing lines and doing that pencil yoga, everything becomes a challenge when you're restarting. It's just jump. Okay, so now there's one thing that when you are drawing, some things might not make sense because there's this hollow over here. So it could be your brain interfering with the information it is given and saying, no, you're not doing it right, you need to do something else. So after you've tried everything and you feel totally frustrated, just abandon this part. Let's make the back, and then when all that information comes in, you will see the front slightly differently. That is my guess. This has happened to me in the past also. Okay, so let's start the inside of the basket. We need to make a certain thickness to that top ring. So make that thickness. And then we will just make those V shapes wherever we see them. They're not connected to the front, they are a weave in the back. So you just need to make those panels separately. You have this V shape like that, that's it. Then you have the next V shape, there's a certain amount of gap here. Just draw it mechanically. Make sure that your angles are like what we see. Just draw what you see.
I'm just copying you, Aditi.
Yes, yes, just copy.
I've given up trying to reason it out
Yeah,
long ago
don't
because
bother.
I can't manage that.
No, don't bother.
बाद में आराम से करके, when you're in.
Yeah, this is like.
Okay. So I'm going to give you a little texture here at the bottom. This is I guess a doodle texture. This will help you at least practice. This is for the future. Start with making lines at maybe 45 degrees. Okay, and wait. Then at this point, after the first line is done, actually at the first line itself, you can make a line that is off 45 degrees from this side. See? So at this point, I make a line like this. And at this point, I make a parallel line. So it becomes like a herringbone. ऊपर से नीचे से. And then you will join the every alternate line from the previous row like this. So you start getting this weave pattern. Now again over here, you can make from this line, from every alternate line. How can you do this? I'm only getting confused. Are you getting this pattern? Because I think I'm confusing you.
I'm like, oh God.
No, okay.
Yeah, got that. I'm getting it. Meaning I'm copying you so that then I can figure it out. You know what I mean? I
Yeah,
can't do it on my own, but after I do it, then I can kind of look at it and figure out where it's going.
yeah, because this is as much as you can do mechanically. But
Yeah.
once you get the first overlap, then it's a matter of just extending these lines. See? And you will start seeing the pattern emerge.
Hmm.
Okay? The complications keep increasing because once you have taken one line from the bottom, the next line has to go from the top.
Hmm.
So you have to erase every alternate pair of lines so that you can do a down, up, down, up. You will get this. it's it's
I
a
need to
very
start doing those
dedicated.
Celtic knot designs over.
Yes,
That's the only way I'm going to learn this.
correct.
Just
Okay, so
impossible.
we'll come back to this.
Hmm.
I'll try and figure out an easy way to show you this, but let's start with the painting now. If this is done, you can erase the construction lines, and whatever construction lines you have within the basket, just let that be. Maybe they'll get covered up, maybe not, who knows. But in trying to erase those, if your structural lines might get erased, you don't want to take that risk. So fortunately, this is the most hard work that you'll have to do. And then we are going to use a little bit of pencil shading. So the painting part is largely going to be only to cover up all the graphite. Now you have at the base of this ring, wherever you have panels, there will be a shadow of that ring falling on those panels. So you can just make a shadow run through. It's okay even if it runs through the hollows because the hollows are all going to be painted dark. So just make a ring. And then here's the fun bit. Wherever a panel overlaps another one, you create a shadow like this. So it's along the side. Again, if it goes into the hollow space, don't worry. The hollows are going to be painted dark, so a little bit of graphite over there, extra graphite, won't matter. But this shading is really vital because that really establishes the position of that panel. Now, when you do it in the back, though, be a little careful that it does not go beyond that part, because you want to see the hollow beyond uncovered. Alright, let's start painting now. Let's make a color mix using yellow ochre and a little bit of gamboge as well. And just for a little flavor, a little bit of burnt sienna, but we will add that towards the end, only on the right side panels. Now, making a very watery consistency of this paint, just go over all the panels. To keep life simple, just paint the panel through and through. Forget about that overlap. If your paint is wet enough, which it will be in the beginning, you will cover everything. So it won't matter whether you're going back and whether you're going above or below, whether the weave is being followed or not, just paint this whole thing. So I'm using a medium sized brush because I want to make the panel quickly. I want to paint it quickly. But you can use two brushes, a medium sized brush for the broader strokes and a small brush to reach into the nooks and crannies. And then while it's still wet, carefully also paint the back panels, and this time you can have fun by imagining where the black panel would be and paint through what would be the front, like this. So I've painted this black and I'm still painting it through the hollows. That way, very organically, I'm filling up the space which should be filled up by the panels in the back of the basket. And it's an automatic fill. I don't have to do anything to remember that here I have to fill, here I don't have to fill. It's just the front panels just get filled up. So in the last part, I've added a little bit of burnt sienna, and I'm randomly putting that color through some of the panels while the paint is still wet. If your paint has dried up, then don't bother, but if it is wet, you can just put in a few spots of the burnt sienna mixture along with the gamboge and yellow ochre mixture. These color depositions, when the color is wet, can give you a certain texture, the true texture of watercolor painting, which is its asset, really. So at any given opportunity, if you can do some kind of a wet on wet application, give it a shot. I have yet to come across a wet on wet application of any color that really looks bad. I mean, there have been times when my application has gone onto the wrong place in the wrong context, like putting a blue on the nose in a portrait has not always worked, but it is still a characteristic of the painting. So you can work with it. Now, once you've covered this whole area and you have put these colors, the spot wet on wet colors, we are going to move away and make the next baskets, but in a different manner.
It actually turned out to be okay. Okay.
Areva? Okay, good.
Look at this. It's actually looking okay.
Areva. Let me pin it. Wait, wait. Nice. See? Not
Not
bad.
bad.
Not
Not bad.
bad. Not bad at all. Very good.
I mean, like, आज काही जमत नाही आपल्याला.
तू 2019 नंतर किती वेळा केलंस ड्रॉइंग, शिल्पा?
नाही की मी करते, मी ऍक्रिलिक वगैरे सध्या करते, बट
ओके.
आय म्हणजे पास्ट लाईक 6 months वॉटर कलर्स आय नॉट डन, बट
ओके, ओके.
रेलिक आणि आय बीन डुईंग.
Then it's okay. Then it's a small leap.
But you need to keep on practicing to get that, flow.
That's true. That is very true. Even I lose it sometimes. Okay. How are we doing on the first layer? All done? I'll give you a couple of minutes.
Aditi, please,
Hmm.
at the end, please show this pattern again. It's
Hey, na?
uh-huh.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey, परत दाखवशील? I think your idea of doing that with the computer, like the lines, I was following that. Like, I could actually get ki ha कसा त्याचे.
Ha.
I think ते नवीन आहे सध्या whatever you're doing.
Yeah. So because of the online,
Mm.
I started to do this breaking up into basic shapes. Uh, when earlier in class we didn't used to do it that way because the sahulat is naughty. But
Mm-hmm.
now
I
it
think
works out.
it's really helping. I think so.
Yeah, also in the in-person classes, I'm able to explain very differently. So I have to find a way to explain what I'm saying. Like I in the in-person, I can point out and say, look at this, look at that, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. But in order to be able to find really objective titles and tell everyone so that they understand the pink line which is here, the blue line which is there, I started drawing the lines, and then I found this was very, very nice to get proportion going.
I agree. Proportion समजायला easy जाते.
Yeah, correct. Okay, shall we try the next one? Just this is just time pass. You have to so that we can wait till our first layer dries. And this one, I'm going to encourage you to do it in a different style little bit. Okay, I'm making the second basket.
Okay.
That's this one. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to demonstrate this. It's going to be more sketchy. So we are going to get a sense of the basket, but we are not really too concerned with the details as much. And let's see how we can create that effect. As far as that proportioning and all is concerned, you can always use the same technique to figure out the proportions. So I will make our square, which is somewhat over here. Maybe not the best color. Okay, so maybe this much is our square. Or let me bring it right down to the, yeah, let me take it to the width of the basket. And then we have a little bit extra at the bottom. I'll show you how to figure that out also. I don't want to get into too many details, so let's just figure out what the height of the center, the hollow is. So it's not 1/2 of the basket, it's a little less than half, and the absolute inside is less than even 1/4 of the square. That is the hole we have to make. Then we have the width of the basket at the base, which is more than, so you can see that this is almost like a rectangular or a cuboid of a shape. This is again half mark. The green lines are meant for us to figure out the exact spot of the sides, so that's here. Somewhere here, and then here, and then the bottom is a little to the right of center and about 1/4 or 1/8 of the square down. That's it. We're not going to do more than this. This is just to get a sense of the proportions. Oh, sorry. Okay, now before I draw that, I want to make this sketch without using the proportions. So this is what we're going to do. We are making the sketch very crudely, deliberately very crude. Allow your eyes to sense these shapes and sketch lines like this. Maybe I'll bring it a little closer. So make your lines very vocal. Let them go outside of the space. Create the contours with multiple lines and then draw the verticals very haphazardly in between those. So the easiest way to draw a basket is to make lines which at, are offset from each other. This is the texture of the lines. And in these again you can draw, this becomes the texture sideways. And anyway, we're not too bothered. What we can do, however, is give this silhouette of the basket on the side. See, like that? And wherever you can make the lines, you can make them. And even where we have this knotting on the top, if you want to make your lines run through, let them. Don't make them transparent. Sorry, don't make them opaque. That's fine. So basically, what I'm doing is I'm just making these lines to very haphazardly to show that it is some kind of a basket. And I'm not completing the lines, I'm not sticking to the pattern. Somewhere, wherever I can make vertical lines, I'm making, otherwise, I'm just abandoning that, keeping that confusion active. And then towards the bottom, you can just make this whole bumpy line like that and finish it. And our basket is a little shaded on the left hand side. So literally just shade the left, and just at the bottom of the rim shade a little extra. I'm deliberately making it very scribbly scrabbly because I want it to look like an organic object, not too smooth. And same thing on the right side of the inside. So here you can make the edge more defined. And just drawing many of these kinds of baskets will also give you some, just the, I guess, familiarizing you with uh, basketry in general. Okay, now going back to, we're going to paint the two simultaneously now. So going back to our first basket, this one, you can now take a few dark colors and a very fine brush, anything below number 2. And to our original color, you can add a little bit of burnt umber. And use this color to define the edges. The same thing that we've done with pencil. So I'll use this to define the bottom here. And all these.
Which color did you take, Aditi?
Burnt umber in the same combination. The base color is the same. I've added burnt umber too.
Okay.
yellow ochre and gamboge. And press your brush down wherever you can. Oh, have I goofed up here? No. If your original layer has not uh, let me rephrase that. If your original layer looks patchy, let it look patchy. Don't try to correct it at this point. And after everything is done, then you can make a much deeper color using burnt umber and even black. And this part now is a choice. You can either go ahead and paint all the tiny holes black, the section between all the panels, regardless of what is overlapping what. And otherwise, if you can see the panels that you've painted from the back, then you can just paint those sections black and leave a hollow still visible. But that could just be a very harrowing experience technically, so just go ahead and paint the whole section black to begin with. And we can put a little bit of that black again just underneath the some of the sections where those parts are being overlapped. Creating shadows in watercolor or actually in any painting is so vital. It can literally change how your painting looks by just that much. Now we should also paint the side of that ring a little bit. Not the whole thing, maybe, but at least the inside, the shadow side, not the top. Just the side part. Now, to make this basket look believable, you just take the same colors and you paint it almost as if it's a solid object. So, I'm going to again use a technique to paint it as casually and as fun as the drawing is. So, I have some of these colors here. I already have some colors in my palette. Let me try adding that. And I'm just staining it.
Oh.
Looks like I've done some kind of goof up on the left, but I'm just ignoring it. Okay, can you take a second to make one texture with me? Again, another basket texture. We'll make a small square this time. And we're doing the first part of this because we need it to dry. So use this. This is also good practice for you to see how to make slightly thick lines with your paintbrush. So now you can paint lines in two ways. If you want a nice thin line, if you have a brush with a tip, then you can just hold it parallel to the line you have to make and just draw that line. If not, you can hold it perpendicular and make thickish lines like that by pressing the brush down a little bit. So I want you to first make these horizontal lines which we'll wait to dry. Keep the distances between the lines the same. So if at one point you feel you need an extra line for the bottom or top to maintain that negative space in between, do make that just a little bit. Let me know when you're done with this, then I can show you the next one. Done? Done with the first one? Okay. Now with this similar size brush, take any one color. Let's take yellow ochre for now. And this brush of mine becomes a little flat, so I'm going to use that flat part of it. Or else you can continue to make lines like this, but make a broken line. And the space you leave in between will be about the thickness of the line you're making. And every consecutive line, you will offset it by about half of the length of the line, which just means that below a given line you make a line that starts halfway and ends halfway the next one, so it covers the gap. So at this stage it will look like you're making bricks. Alright, now once you're done, change the color to maybe a blue instead of making a red or something. And we're going to go back to the first texture. I'm turning this round sideways, and I'm going to make the bottom texture on the first block but sideways. So I'm going to make this line go over the first vertical line jump over the second, go over the third, jump over four, go over five, and end. And then the next one, I'm going to do the exact opposite. Jump over the first line, go over every even line. And continue till the end. So this is how we are creating this weave pattern. And we can do the exact same thing in the bottom one, where now we make the same kind of horizontal line, but in between the gaps only. And hopefully you've left the gaps right below one another. And this will work for baskets, for fabric. Everything that is woven will look like that. Okay, so this one is done, and this scribbly basket I am adding more chaotic colors, but I'm adding them in this fashion, just keeping my brush flat and making something like this to resemble the weave, but very arbitrarily. And as you go lower, you can increase the darkness, add some burnt umber or brown or black, and you will get a sense of it being a basket without really having to make that pattern. Now, beyond this point, it's up to you how much you want to enhance it. You can add more shadows if you feel confident, but if you're not, then see, you really don't need to do anything more. And that's it.